Life is a beautiful journey filled with unpredictable turns, unexpected storms, and moments of overwhelming confusion. We often find ourselves standing at crossroads, trying to control every outcome, worrying about what the future holds, and holding tightly to situations that no longer serve our peace. But the truth is, there comes a time in every soul's journey when we must learn the sacred art of surrender, the divine act of releasing control, and the powerful truth of let go and let God. This phrase isn't just a comforting line. It's a deep spiritual practice, a reminder that you are not alone in your struggle, and that there is a higher power orchestrating everything perfectly behind the scenes. When we say, let go and let God, we are not giving up. We are giving in to divine wisdom. We are acknowledging that our limited human understanding can never fully comprehend the grand plan that God has for us. How many times have we tried to force something to work, only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and broken? How many nights have we stayed awake, worrying about things we can't change? We think that control gives us safety, but in truth, control often becomes our greatest burden. When we finally release it, when we finally place it in God's hands, that's when miracles begin to unfold. There's something liberating about surrendering. It's like setting down a heavy backpack you've carried for years. You stop trying to predict, you stop trying to manipulate outcomes, and you start trusting that what's meant for you will always find its way. God's timing is never early and never late. It's always right on time. You may not understand it now, but every delay, every detour, every closed door is part of a divine design. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you thought was loss was protection. And what you thought was the end was really the beginning of something far greater than you could imagine. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to play God. You stop clinging to fear and start resting in faith. Faith is knowing that even when you can't trace His hand, you can trust His heart. It's understanding that behind every unanswered prayer, there's a divine reason. Sometimes God delays because He's preparing you. Sometimes He withholds because He's protecting you. And sometimes He breaks you down only to build you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. We live in a world that teaches us to hustle, to control, to make things happen on our own terms. But the spiritual truth is, not everything is meant to be forced. Some things are meant to flow. When you learn to let go and let God, you stop swimming against the current. You start flowing with the river of divine grace. You realize that the universe isn't against you. It's working for you. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every moment of uncertainty is shaping you into the person God created you to be. There is peace in surrender. It's the peace that comes when you finally say, God, I can't do this on my own anymore. Take over. I trust you. When those words leave your heart sincerely, something magical happens. The heaviness begins to lift. The anxiety starts to fade. You begin to breathe again, not because your problems disappeared, but because your perspective changed. You realize that God was never asking you to carry the weight of the world. He was only asking you to trust Him enough to give it to Him. Think of a child holding a broken toy, crying because they can't fix it. The parent kneels and says, "Give it to me, I'll fix it." But the child keeps holding it tightly, unwilling to let go. That's us with our pain, our plans, our control. God keeps whispering, "My child, if only you'd let go, I could heal you. I could restore what's broken." But we cling, we worry, we doubt. And yet, even in our stubbornness, God waits patiently, never forcing us, but always ready. The moment we finally release our grip, He begins His work. And what He creates from the pieces is always more beautiful than what we were trying to hold together. Letting go also means forgiving yourself and others. You can't let God handle your future if your hands are still full of past pain. Release the anger, the regret, the resentment. Those emotions keep you chained to what hurts you. When you let go, you give space for healing. You allow God to replace bitterness with peace, sadness with joy, and confusion with clarity. Sometimes, letting go means letting go of a version of yourself that no longer fits the person you are becoming. It takes courage to let go. It's not weakness, it's the highest form of strength. Because faith requires vulnerability. It requires saying, "Even if I don't see how, I believe that God will make a way." And He always does. Maybe not in the way you expected, but in the way you needed. The job you lost, the relationship that ended, the door that closed, they were all part of God's plan to redirect your life towards something better. Remember, God removes only to replace, delays only to prepare, and breaks only to rebuild. The moment you surrender, you open yourself to divine flow. Opportunities start showing up. People who belong in your journey begin to appear. Peace starts replacing panic. That's the power of surrender. It's not passive, it's deeply active. It's choosing faith over fear, trust over anxiety, patience over panic. It's knowing that you can rest because God never sleeps. It's realizing that your life is not falling apart. It's falling into place. Letting go also requires you to stop revisiting what God has already released. When He closes a chapter, stop trying to reread it. The past can be a teacher, but it's not meant to be your home. Move forward, even when you don't know where the road leads. Walk by faith, not by sight. God doesn't ask you to see the entire staircase. He just asks you to take the next step. And when you do, step by step, you'll realize that His hand was guiding you all along. There will be times when surrender feels painful, when you're letting go of someone you love, a dream you've held for years, or a plan that you thought was perfect. But remember this, if God is asking you to release it, it's because He has something far greater waiting for you. Sometimes He empties your hands so He can fill them with something better. Don't be afraid of the empty space. It's sacred ground. That's where transformation begins. When you let God handle it, you stop living in resistance and start living in flow. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." You begin to see challenges not as punishments, but as divine lessons. You begin to trust that even in silence, God is speaking. Even in waiting, He is working. Even in pain, He is purifying. That's the essence of faith, to trust even when you don't understand. Let go of your need to control how your story unfolds. Let go of your fears about tomorrow. Let go of your doubts about whether you're good enough, strong enough, or ready enough. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And God is already working behind the curtain, arranging the right people, the right timing, and the right circumstances. All He needs from you is faith. There's peace in knowing that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know what's next. You don't have to fight every battle alone. You simply have to trust that God does. Because when you surrender, you make room for miracles. And when you allow God to take control, life unfolds with more grace, beauty, and purpose than you could have ever imagined. So take a deep breath. Release what's heavy. Lay down your worries, your fears, your doubts, your guilt. Whisper quietly, "God, I'm letting go. I trust you." And then watch how life begins to move differently. Watch how doors open that you didn't even knock on. Watch how peace finds you in the midst of chaos. That's the divine magic of surrender. That's the miracle of letting go and letting God. Because the truth is, God has never failed you. Not once. Even in your darkest nights, He was there. Even when you couldn't see the path, He was guiding your steps. Even when you felt abandoned, He was carrying you. He's not asking you to understand everything. He's asking you to trust Him through everything. So stop worrying about what you can't control. Stop replaying the past. Stop fearing the future. Let go and let God handle it. He knows exactly what He's doing. When you finally trust God fully, your life becomes lighter, your mind becomes clearer, and your heart becomes calmer. You start realizing that what you were chasing was never peace. It was control. And when you release control, peace naturally finds you. Letting go isn't losing, it's gaining freedom. It's allowing God to write your story in His perfect way on His perfect timeline. And when you read the final chapters one day, you'll understand why every twist, every tear, and every test was necessary. So, no matter what you're facing right now, whether it's heartbreak, uncertainty, loss, or fear, pause and remind yourself, I don't have to fix this alone. I don't have to carry this alone. I'm letting go, and I'm letting God handle it. Because when God steps in, mountains move, hearts heal, and miracles happen. You may not see it yet, but one day you'll look back and say, now I understand. God was working all along. Let go and let God. That's where true peace begins, where true healing happens, and where your soul finally finds rest. Life has a way of testing us, stretching us, and pushing us into corners where we no longer have the answers. We try so hard to fix everything, to hold the pieces together, to find solutions, to make sense of the chaos. But sometimes, no matter how much we try, things don't go as planned. Relationships break, dreams collapse, prayers seem unanswered. We feel helpless, confused, and alone. That's when God whispers, softly but powerfully, my child, let go and let me handle it. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about giving in to divine wisdom. It's about understanding that your hands were never meant to hold everything. God didn't create you to control the universe. He created you to trust Him. Every worry you carry, every fear you hold, every tear you cried, He has seen it all. And in His perfect timing, He will turn everything around for your good. There's something incredibly sacred about surrender. When you finally say, God, I can't do this anymore, heaven starts to move. The moment you release your grip on what you cannot change, divine peace begins to enter your heart. That's when miracles happen, not when you struggle and strive, but when you surrender and trust. When you stop trying to be the master of your destiny and allow the true master to lead your steps, life begins to flow with grace. Think of the waves in the ocean. They rise and fall effortlessly. They don't resist the current, they move with it. That's what letting go feels like. You stop fighting against what's meant to be. You begin to trust that every rise and fall, every tide and calm, has a divine rhythm. You realize that God's plan is not random, it's intentional. Every heartbreak, every delay, every redirection is part of a higher purpose that your mind cannot yet see. We often hold on too tightly because of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of loss. Fear that if we don't control things, everything will fall apart. But here's the truth. Your fear doesn't protect you. Your faith does. And faith begins where control ends. When you let go, you give God permission to work in ways far beyond your imagination. You allow Him to heal what you can't touch, to fix what you can't see, and to guide you where you never thought you'd go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop worrying. It means you stop replaying the past in your mind. Stop overthinking what could go wrong, and start trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your peace is simply step back and say, God, I trust you. I may not understand right now, but I know you do. Have you ever noticed that when you hold something too tightly, it starts to break? That's what happens when we try to control life. We cling to people who are meant to leave. We chase things that are meant to flow naturally. We overthink blessings that are already ours. And in doing so, we create pain. But when you loosen your grip, when you say, God, take over, you make room for divine healing. You allow new energy, new peace, and new opportunities to enter your life. There's an old saying, if God brings you to it, He will bring you through it. The storms you face are not punishments, they're preparations. They are teaching you how to trust, how to surrender, and how to walk by faith, not by sight. The waiting seasons are not wasted, they are sacred. God is using them to strengthen your patience, refine your spirit, and align your path. You may not see the full picture now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the delays were protection, the detours were redirection, and the pain was preparation for purpose. Let go of the need to understand why. You don't need to know how things will work out. You just need to know who is working them out. God's ways are higher than your ways. His thoughts are deeper than your thoughts. Sometimes, He withholds an answer because the blessing He's preparing is far greater than the one you prayed for. Trust that when He says, "No," it's not rejection, it's redirection. And when He says, "Wait," it's not delay, it's preparation. Surrender doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. It takes great strength to look at chaos and still say, "I will not fear. God's got this." That's faith. That's peace. And that's power. Because faith doesn't remove your problems. It reminds you that your problems are not bigger than your God. You may not know how the story ends, but you know who's writing it, and that's enough. Imagine you're standing on a cliff, and God says, "Jump!" Your first thought is fear. "What if I fall?" But faith whispers, "What if you fly?" Letting go is that jump. It's trusting that even if you fall, God will catch you. And even if you lose something, He'll replace it with something better. He never asked you to release without reason. He asked you to release so He can redeem. Sometimes you have to let go of people, not because you don't love them, but because their part in your story is over. Sometimes you have to let go of a dream, not because it failed, but because God is writing a bigger one. And sometimes you have to let go of your own plans so you can step into His. The hands that made the stars know how to guide your path. The heart that designed your soul knows exactly what you need. When you stop fighting what's leaving, you start attracting what's meant to stay. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Use me," your pain transforms into purpose. God doesn't waste your tears. Every drop waters the garden of your growth. Every struggle shapes your spirit. Every surrender strengthens your soul. There's peace in letting go. It's the peace that comes when you realize you're not in charge of outcomes, only obedience. Your job is to pray, believe, and stay faithful. God's job is to handle the rest. And He never fails. So breathe. Stop overthinking. Stop questioning. Rest in the knowing that you are being divinely guided. Even when it looks like everything is falling apart, it's actually falling into place. Maybe right now, your life feels uncertain. Maybe you're in a season of loss, confusion, or silence. Maybe you've been praying for something for so long, and nothing seems to change. But remember, silence doesn't mean absence. Just because you can't feel God doesn't mean He's not working. The seed grows in the dark before it breaks the soil. In the same way, your breakthrough is growing underground, silently, patiently, powerfully. Keep your faith alive. Let go of the outcome, and trust that God's timing is perfect. There's beauty in not knowing everything, because when you don't know, you learn to trust. When you don't see the path, you learn to walk by faith. When you don't have control, you learn to surrender. And in surrender, you find strength that you never knew you had. Let go of the pain that keeps you bound. Forgive the people who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Let go of the guilt that chains you to the past. God has already forgiven you. It's time to forgive yourself. Let go of the need to be perfect. You are enough as you are. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to have faith that everything is unfolding for your highest good. Letting go and letting God doesn't mean life will be free from challenges. It means you'll stop fighting them alone. You'll start walking with divine peace, knowing that God is beside you every step of the way. When you hand over your burdens, your spirit becomes lighter. Your energy changes. You begin to glow with quiet strength. That's what happens when you trust the process. You begin to live in harmony with divine flow. The truth is, you were never meant to carry everything. That's why Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That rest is not just physical, it's spiritual. It's the rest that comes when you stop striving and start trusting. When you let God handle it, you stop running in circles trying to fix what only He can fix. You begin to rest in His grace. There's an old prayer that says, "God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference." That's what letting go truly means: acceptance, courage, and wisdom. Acceptance that some things are beyond your control. Courage to take action when needed. And wisdom to trust God with the rest. So today, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the presence of God surrounding you. Whisper, "Lord, I'm tired of holding on. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to trust you." And as you say it, imagine all your worries, all your fears, all your pain melting away, because you don't have to carry it anymore. God's got it. He's always had it. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust that one day you will. And when you do, you'll smile through the tears and say, "Now I understand. Every delay had a purpose. Every loss led me closer to my destiny. Every no was protection in disguise." Because that's what happens when you let go and let God. He turns confusion into clarity, pain into peace, and brokenness into beauty. You are safe in His hands. You are guided, loved, and protected. Even when it doesn't make sense, even when it hurts, even when you're scared, keep trusting. Because the same God who parted the sea, who healed the blind, who raised the dead, is the same God working in your life right now. He hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing something beyond your wildest imagination. So let go of your fears. Let go of your control. Let go of the idea that you have to do it all alone. Step aside, take a breath, and let God handle what only He can. He knows the way. He sees the future. He holds the answers. And in His perfect timing, everything will fall into place. Let go and let God. That's not just a phrase, it's a way of life. It's a daily act of faith. It's the key to peace, freedom, and divine alignment. When you live this truth, nothing can shake your spirit, because you know that the one who holds the universe also holds you.